Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be another story time for you guys. I know how much you guys love hearing the story times. I went on Twitter about 4 days ago and I asked you guys what story time you guys wanted to hear, and you guys requested the time that I got investigated by the FBI. So yeah, let's just get right into this video because you guys are probably thinking like, what the hell could you have possibly done that the FBI was involved? So at first I was kind of like, I don't know if I should even bring this up or say it because I don't know if like I could get in trouble, but I don't think so because I'm no longer with the company. So I think I should be fine. We're in the clear. If you guys see me go to jail, I did this for you guys. But I'm gonna take it back to 2013, I believe it was around that year, and I'm not gonna name where, even though most of you guys already know where I used to work, and I'm not gonna name specific names. I'm gonna change the people's names just to kind of like save my ass. Hopefully I can say the whole story without like half-assing some shit because I want to be completely honest with you guys. But yeah, let's just get right into it. So I was working for a bank and I absolutely loved my job. Like most of you guys know, when you are working at a bank, you are now working under basically the government. It's federal. So anything that is discussed through the banking, or like say like somebody steals and like a burglar, you know, I don't know if you guys knew that they go straight to prison because they're stealing from the government. It's federal. It's, you know, it's a big thing. So I don't think people really realize that aspect of it. I know when I went into banking, I was just like, oh, I have a good job. I really didn't think how serious it is to be working at a specific bank. So I was working at a bank and I was a teller. I loved my job. I loved what I did. I, you know, would wake up in the morning and I felt blessed because I was making good money at a really young age and, you know, working for such a great company. So I worked my ass off, guys. Like when I got hired at the bank, I worked my ass off to sell. A lot of the banking world requires for you to have quotas where you're, you know, selling and you're basically, you know, getting customers to come in and you get rewarded. You get promoted when you do good. So I wanted to become a banker and I was dedicated to just advance with the company. So I was working my ass off as a teller. 4 months later, after I get hired, I become a personal banker. So I was so freaking excited. I was like, finally, I get to have my own desk. I'm gonna just kill it. I'm gonna just like, it was just a great accomplishment for myself that I was like, I finally got promoted. I got a raise. I'm making good money. I'm 22 years old and I'm, you know, with a pretty set job. Most people, you know, build this as a career, so I felt very good. So most of you guys already know that I used to work with my Bees in the Trap. A lot of you guys know who she is. It's Bianca. You guys used to see her on a lot of my old videos, and we were just fucking living, okay? We were living the dream. We were like, yes, we're going to work. We're cute. We're like taking our lunch together. Like we just loved our job, guys. Like when I say we loved our jobs, we loved our jobs. She used to work right in front of me and I used to be the desk behind her. So we used to just like email each other like some dumbass shit and we were just like loving our job. So one of our managers, the one that actually promoted me, she ended up getting a promotion to become a district manager, and we were all completely devastated at this point. We were so sad that she was going to be leaving and we were no longer going to be working under her. So I was probably the most excited to work under her because I had just known so many, you know, I've heard so many good things about her and I was excited. I knew that it was just going to be a very good environment. There's nothing worse than going to work and feeling like you hate your job. And this is why I wanted to emphasize in the beginning how much I cared about my job and how amazing it was, because I was happy. I was genuinely happy going to work. So she ended up leaving, and we already know change is hard in general. You know, change is just a bad thing to go through, especially when the person who is going to be brought in is not fully flexible with, you know, trying to get along or anything like that. So long story short, we brought a new manager in and we're gonna name him John. Okay, so we brought our new manager in. His name is John, and he's different, you know, like he didn't really come in very professional. I think that his age was very young, and he just kind of came in with like a sorry, cocky attitude, like, you know, I'm the boss, you know, I got it, like that kind of attitude, you know. So we're around actually the same age, if I'm not mistaken. Like, he wasn't that much older than me, okay? So, you know, when you give power of authority to somebody at such a young age, I feel like they get into this like high horse level where they think that they're just like boss shit and they could just talk to people however they want. So, you know, me, I feel like I adapt and I get along with just about everybody. You know, my personality, I am open. Like, I'm very open with people. I never judge people by a first appearance or a first look or a first conversation. Like, I give people a chance to just like get to know them, and I'm very friendly. Like, if you ever go to a place with me and you meet me for the first time, not as like somebody, as a subscriber to me, like I'm talking about in general as a friendship. Like, if you meet me for the first time, I'm very like, oh my god, hi, like I'm the person that's going to introduce myself, like, hi, my name is Blanca, blah 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 blah, like let me get to know you, you know. That's just the type of person that I am. So I feel like I get along with pretty much everybody and anybody. Until you do something to me, then that's just kind of like, you know. So he kind of came in and, you know, I introduced myself. I'm like, hi, my name is Blanca. I talked to him about my goals in life. I was like, this is what I want to do with the company. This is where I see myself in a couple of years. And to be honest with you, I feel like he really didn't give a damn. Like, he didn't care about what I wanted to do. And I was just kind of like, as my manager, I feel like you should make me feel like I'm valued, you know, and like you care about me succeeding, and feel like I'm going to be here and you're going to support what I want to do, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to grow. You know what I mean? Just because you're a manager now and you feel like you've gotten to your potential, I want you to be able to guide me to that point. And like I said, he was really young. So we really didn't get along. He just started being a complete douchebag all the time. He was just he was late all the time. When you work for a company, well, if you've worked for the company that I worked for, which most of you guys already know where I worked, we have morning huddles in the morning. So it's like mandatory that you interact with your team in the beginning of the day to just kind of set the day, set your goals, what we're going to do to achieve this. And if you've ever worked in banking, you know how hard it is to meet your quotas and meet your goals, and it's a very stressful job, and I don't think people really see that part of it. So it started becoming a dark place where I didn't want to go to work anymore. I didn't want to be there because I was just getting chewed all the time. I wasn't getting any type of support. It was just like a sorry experience, you know. And I hated that. I hated it because it's like I went from loving my job to completely hating my job, and it was all because of who I was working under at that point. And I didn't add the fact that the district manager, so the manager before my manager, and him were really good friends. So it didn't help that I didn't even have the ability to be able to even call anybody above him to, you know, address my concerns, because she basically had his back no matter what. So I just tried to distract myself, help as many customers as I could, and have zero communication with my manager whatsoever at this point. It got to the point where basically my whole branch was just pissed and mad all the time, and everybody was just not getting along. Everybody was like in a sorry attitude, and you know, people were calling HR, I was calling HR. We were all just miserable, okay? We were all complaining. We were all just having a horrible work environment. So after calling HR, I want to say maybe a month passed, okay? So we're still mad, we're still miserable, we're still hating our job. And the reason is because we talk with each other, you know. We were all just kind of like, well, your manager this, manager that. Like, I can't sit here and say stories that happened, but this video would be way too long. And about a month passes, and he just starts being kind of chill now. So I think maybe like HR, you know, talk to him, let him know like, hey, your team's feeling this certain way, you should kind of relax. So I started seeing like, okay, he's a little bit more chill, he's talking to us more. He actually took us to lunch a few times where we basically got to know him like a little bit at a personal level. So by this time we're like, okay, like things are starting to feel a little bit better. Things are starting to feel a little bit normal. A month passes by, 2 months passes by, 3 months passes by, and we're just there. It's getting better, okay? Like things are starting to finally feel okay. I'm starting to enjoy my job. I'm not dreading being there in the morning. Like it started to feel good, okay? So I developed a pretty good friendship with him to where we started kind of getting along, you know, we started like playing around and just kind of like, you know, telling each other stuff, and it just became a little bit more comfortable, you know, and so I thought it became a little bit more comfortable. When you work for the bank, we had to do tests basically every quarter we had to do mandatory tests and exams and stuff where we review like what the banking is, all our regulations, stuff like that. So there was this one specific day, and this is where my story starts. Sorry it took me hella long to just explain that, but I wanted to get you guys to know the beginning of my life at the job, you know what I mean, before I even got into the story. But it started off where I stayed one day just late for work, and it was myself, my friend Bianca, and my friend Karina. So we were all there just taking our test, you know, finishing off. There was nobody else at the branch at that time. You can stay after hours if you have, you know, basically, you know, somebody up or somebody lower. I'm probably talking gibberish, but if you work at the bank, you know what I'm talking about. So we were able to stay after hours, and I finished my test. Karina finished her test, so we were just waiting for Bianca to finish off. So we were just there waiting for her. She's sitting at her desk. I'm sitting like right beside her, and Karina's like right in front of me. So at the time, Vine started being very popular at this time. This is when kind of everybody was posting. Everybody was, you know, trying to get Vine famous, whatever the case may be. So I used to do some cute ass little Vine videos with Bianca all the time. If you've ever worked at a bank, they're very strict about everything, and you cannot have your phone out. You can't even post like selfies. Like there was times like, say I had to post a picture like on my Instagram, I couldn't post them with my name tag. And I don't think a lot of people know that, but you're not supposed to post pictures with like your name tag or saying where you work, because it doesn't look good for the company if I like post a picture on my social media like on my way to work, and then like the next day I'm like drunk at El Torito's throwing up, you know what I mean? Like it just doesn't look good for the company. So they're very strict about that. And you're not supposed to be on your phone or anything like that. But of course it was after hours. We didn't care. We were on our phones. We were on Vine. And by the way, you guys already know I snap all the time at work. So, well, when I was at work, I used to snap all the freaking time. I really didn't care. It's totally bad. But you know what? I'm a little rebel now because I don't work with the company anymore, so I can tell you guys all about it. But I would snap all the time and post it on Instagram, Snapchat, whatever. So back to the story. We were at our desk. We were all just like having a good time. I was on Vine, just making funny videos with Bianca and laughing, having a good time. So then our boss, I forgot what I named him. John. Our boss John is coming out of the office because he ended up staying a couple of hours, and then he came and he was like, hey girls, are you guys just gonna chill here? We were like, yeah, we'll be fine for a little bit, just you can go and get your stuff and go, we'll just relax here. And then he was like, oh, okay, because like, what are you guys doing? You know, like we were talking, we were all having a good time, laughing, saying jokes, like literally we were all having a good time. We were comfortable at this point with him, you know, so we were like, oh, nothing, we're just here, blah blah blah. I was telling him all about Vine. He knew that at the time I was like getting pretty known on Instagram, so he would always like make fun of me, and he'd be like, oh, what are you gonna go do a video, blah blah blah. So we were comfortable, you know. He knew that I had a pretty good following at the time, so he's like, I'm just gonna go get my stuff and take off. So then he goes, gets his stuff, and then decides to, you know, come back and say bye to us. So at this point, when he goes, gets his stuff, my friend Karina comes out with a brilliant idea, and he's like, we should prank him. We should just prank him real quick, get a reaction out of him, because it's gonna be so funny. So I'm over there like, oh yeah, let's get a reaction out of him. What do we do, you know? So we were in a bad area in Stockton, okay? So we were at a really ghetto branch. So all of us had like pepper spray and like tasers, stuff like that, because when we would go out to our car, you know, we wanted to make sure we were okay. So then Karina was like, let me take my taser out and just scare him. You know, we weren't gonna like tase him, but she was like, let me just get the taser out and scare him. So I was like, okay, if any of you guys have ever heard a taser, I don't even think I have. I think my taser's in the car. I'm not even gonna go run over there and get it, but it sounds horrible. It's like, like it like even like makes lights, you know? So it's like, if somebody tases you, like, you know, you'll fall to the ground and stuff. So it's not something to play around with. But we were literally just gonna like, she was just gonna like turn it on and just kind of like scare him, get a reaction. At the time, I was like all for it. So then he comes out, he grabs his stuff, and he's still laughing with us. He's like making jokes, and then I'm like with my phone like on the bottom, like kind of like under me like this, and I'm like I have my phone ready. But with Vine, you had to like hold the button, so I had to like make sure I had like a good angle, you know? So then Bianca's like freaking just finishing her test and like rolling her eyes like, you guys are crazy. And then Karina hides like under the back of the desk thing, and then he comes out and he's like, where's Karina? Karina jumps out of nowhere and just like goes zzz, and like you can hear the taser just like go off, you know? So he was like, whoa, like he was like, what the hell? Like he just kind of like backed up, but no way was he like scared. He didn't even give me a good reaction, okay? Because I was actually kind of mad that he didn't even give me a good reaction, because I was like, really? He didn't even get scared, because he was just kind of like, whoa, what the heck, you know? And then he was just like, you guys are dumb. And then he used to call her Concha, okay? So he used to be like, Concha, estás bien loca, because she speaks Spanish. So she's like, estás bien loca. And then like we were just all laughing, but I was laughing so hard because I laugh at everything. I think everything's funny. So I was laughing so hard. I like fall to the ground, being extra dramatic like I am. I'm like falling to the ground, rolling on the nasty ass ground that our customers probably pissed on, because we used to have like a lot of old people. But I was just like rolling on the ground, like dying of laughter, okay? So at that point, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even get a good reaction. So I didn't even post it like on Vine. I didn't post it. I was like, it was not even worth posting because it wasn't funny. So I was just like, whatever. I saved the video and I just deleted it and went about my day. So he ended up leaving. He takes off and he was just like, you guys are crazy. So we're just there. We're like laughing, still having a good time. We're there for like another hour. Then we all end up leaving. We take off. That was the end of our day. Next day to work, we're all working. And it was about 12 o'clock at noon. And all of a sudden, you start feeling like all this tension, okay? Just kind of like something just felt off. Everybody was just really quiet, doing their job, kind of like not messing around. Nobody was really like, you know, talking or anything. So I was like, what the heck's going on? So all of a sudden you see like the big bosses come in. So at the bank, they have investigators for like if you're gaming being like if you're opening like fake accounts, if you're like doing shady stuff with the company. So these are the people that come in to basically fire people if they're doing shady stuff. So the big people come in and I'm like, oh, somebody's getting investigated. I looked at Bianca and I was like, dude, it's freaking I just said his name. Oh my God, I just said his name. Let me ignore that. So then I looked at Bianca and I was like, dude, I think they're here to investigate John. And Bianca's like, what? She was like, you think so? Because we had all called HR, you know, because at one point we were all very unhappy. We had all called HR. And I was like, dude, I think he's probably getting investigated. So we kind of felt bad. We were just kind of like, dude, like we didn't want him to like lose his job or anything over it. We just wanted him to stop treating us like shit. And, you know, the investigators are in, they're in there for hours and we're trying to figure out like who's getting investigated, what's going on, what's happening. So then they started calling people in like one by one. They called me in. I mean, they called Bianca in. They called Karina in. They called my other friends in. They called everybody. They called everybody at the branch. All my coworkers got in to get a talk. And they basically left Bianca, Karina, and myself at the end. So then I didn't find any of that strange till finally I started putting two and two together after saying the story so many times. But I was just kind of like, okay, what the hell is going on? So then they called us into the office and I'm there and, you know, John's looking at me kind of like, so, like nervous, like he's like stuttering. He's looking at me like he's scared to tell me something. And I'm just there like, okay, what the hell are we talking about, you know? So I'm there like chilling, like never did I think anything had to do with me in general, you know? So I'm there and I'm like looking at my manager and I'm like, I have my district manager on this side. I have my MSC on this side. I have an investigator on that side. And I'm like, okay, so who's gonna ask me a question, you know? So I'm like, what am I talking about? So then he says, I just wanted to let you know that you're going to be under administrative leave for the next 2 weeks. You're under investigation. I was like, what the hell did I do? I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God, oh my God. Like my blood and my heart like stopped for a second there, because like I told you guys, this was at one point in my career. Like I loved my job. I was devastated. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? What am I getting investigated for? I was like, I've been nothing but great to the company. I do my sales. I kill it every quarter. I'm a freaking great employee. I'm like, I am a hard ass working person. Like, what the hell am I getting investigated for? I thought that I was getting investigated maybe for like, you know, accounts that are being opened, credit cards, whatever, like maybe like things like that happen, you know, where they check your stuff, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just getting under investigation for something like that. He's like, we're going to be investigating for you not being able to provide a safe environment for the people around you. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? At that point, I wasn't even being professional anymore. I looked at him and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And he was like, my district manager's kind of looking at me like, you freaking little girl, like, you know, and I'm like confused, you know, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And he starts reading me everything, okay? He's like, we need to talk to you about the incident that happened yesterday where you, Bianca, and Karina tried to tase me. And I was like, whoa, slow it all down for me. I seriously looked at him and laughed, okay? Because like I said, I laugh when I'm nervous, but I also laughed because I was like, you're kidding, right? I was like, are you serious? And then I started to try to like defend myself. I was like, I looked at my MSc and I'm like, this is a joke, right? This is, you're kidding. And then he's like, no, Blanca, this is not a joke. This is very serious. And at that point, he wasn't talking to me anymore. My MSc was talking, because I didn't even want to hear a word come out of his mouth, because I was furious. I was like, how dare you try to, after everything that we put up with as him as a manager, and him just getting away with everything, because in the banking world, it's not what you know, it's who you know in these companies. And it just pissed me off that like I was working so hard, you know, and like, how dare you try to take that away from me, you know? So he's just kind of like, I didn't even want to hear it, what he had to say. I started talking to my MSc and I was like, what's going on? He's like, basically, you're going to be under investigation for the next 2 weeks, and we're just going to figure out what's going to happen. Everybody will have their chance to talk, and everybody will have their chance to just basically say what happened. I was like, I'll tell you what happened. I was like, it was all a joke. We were all playing around. He was playing, and then he's like, Blanca, just save it. Just get yourself together, get your stuff, pack it up, let's go, you know? So I had to like get my stuff from my desk, and at that point I was like, I'm gonna get fired, I am gonna lose my job, and I cannot believe this is happening to me, you know? So I was just like in shock, okay? I was like, what the hell is going on? So we all get our stuff, you know, Bianca and Karina all got the same talk, and I was just livid. I was just furious. Karina was pissed. But the bad thing about it is that when you're under investigation through your job, for this specific company, I don't know if it's just how it is, we weren't able to talk to each other. So they basically told us that we had no communication with each other whatsoever. I was not allowed to talk to Bianca, Karina, or anybody at the branch for the next 2 weeks. I couldn't text them, call them. They were basically monitoring everything that I was doing from this day forward. They took our phones. They basically went through and rated everything. And that's where the FBI came in, and I didn't even know. I didn't even know that when you get investigated for banking, you are being investigated by the FBI. And I think at this point, because of everything that had happened, where the whole branch basically was unhappy and calling HR before that, and then this incident happened where it looked like 3 employees were trying to kill their manager, basically FBI had to get involved, and it was a very scary experience. I feel like your life can change like this, and it was the dumbest thing, but just knowing that somebody accused us in general of doing something like that, and in our work environment, it's because it happened at work that it got to this extreme. But to think that just something so stupid that, and so ignorant in our part as well, could lead to us getting into a lot of trouble, basically, you know, like at this point I was thinking like, I'm gonna go to jail, I'm gonna lose my job, I'm not gonna ever be able to work in the bank again. I was just freaking out. Okay, so the next 2 weeks were like hell. Okay, I wasn't able to talk to my best friend. I was not able to talk to, you know, Karina was also one of my really good friends. She's known me, we're about 10 years apart, but she's known me, my sister and her were really good friends. So it's like, growing up, she saw me growing up. I was like her little sister, and it's like we had no communication whatsoever. We were just kind of like, what the hell? So of course, after about 4 days, we talked to each other, even though we weren't supposed to. Shh, hopefully nobody gets in trouble after this. But we talked to each other. We met like at this secret spot, and we were just like being all weird. Like I had my sister like communicate with like somebody else to tell them to like all of us get together. So basically somebody like arranged it for us, and we were just all together at one point because we knew we could get in trouble. At this point we could get fired, or anything that we said on our phones, anything that we said on anything was being rated. Like we were under investigation, like legit investigation. Okay, and we met at this little spot, and we just started talking about everything and talking about what we were gonna do if we got fired and what was gonna happen. And it was just like a mess. I was so scared. I was freaking out. And I cried like a couple of times, honestly, where I was just like, I cannot believe that I did this to myself, and I can't believe it. Karina felt horrible because she was like, it was, you know, it was my idea. I got you guys in trouble. And at this point I was like, no, like you didn't freaking make me do it. Like I decided to go along with it, you know. And even though I wasn't the one who did it, it looked bad on my part because I recorded it. So now I captured that moment, and then on top of that, I apparently put it on social media. So they like saw all my Instagrams, my Snapchats, my freaking everything. They rated everything, okay? So 2 weeks passes by, and I finally have my chance to come in and talk. So it was crazy because throughout those whole 2 weeks while we were under investigation, the FBI was at our branch for that whole 2 weeks. And they were like, you would walk into the branch and you would see like these big guys like standing there, like just looking everywhere. Like nobody was comfortable at work because they were all being monitored. They were all being watched. Like there were these big like men in black looking stuff, okay, like how you see it in the movies. And at the branch, you know, like we weren't allowed to go in there, but they would like, they told us after, like, dude, they were just in here just watching everything we're doing. It was so much shit, and it was just crazy, you know. So at this point we're just trying to like figure out, I'm there, I'm getting investigated. I already had everything like that I was gonna say. I was gonna spill my life out. I was gonna let them know what I felt and what was going on. So then the guy comes in, and it's like the main investigator. He's this big guy and kind of bald, kind of scary looking, you know. So I'm like there, little Mexican girl, just kind of like, oh man, I'm gonna get fired, you know. So talking to him, and then he's like, okay, so what happened? So we had like our stories to the T, and the reason being is because we weren't lying about anything that happened. Like we didn't have to sit there and lie about anything. The only one thing that I lied about, and I'm confessing finally, is the fact that I didn't have the video, okay? Because they wanted to see the video that I captured, but I deleted the video as soon as I got in trouble, you know what I mean? So I did have a video at one point, but I said that I didn't record anything, that I was just playing, but I really did record something. I really hope that after this, like one day when I decide to go to the bank, this video doesn't bite me in the ass because I'm talking about it, but whatever. So that happened, and I told him, I was like, look, this is what happened, this is what went down, this is how it is. We didn't do anything, we were messing around, he was laughing, we were all having a good time, it was all a joke. How am I in trouble, you know? So he basically went through the list, like, you're not supposed to have your phone out, you are not supposed to have a weapon at work. I'm like, oh my god. Oh my god. I'm like, I didn't have a weapon. Like, I didn't even have a taser at the time. Like, I had a pepper spray. I was like, dude, like, we're girls, and if I want to carry a pepper spray in my purse, like, I should be allowed to do that, because when I go outside, I'm gonna be scared, or whatever the case may be. The taser was Karina's, you know, but I basically told him, I'm like, look, we were all having a good time, we were all having fun. He exaggerated. He basically, my manager called HR. So the whole reason that this whole thing happened was because he called HR, told HR that he felt like he was in danger. Like, he accused us of trying to kill him. He legit called and said, I feel like these girls tried to taser me. And I was like, how How is this humanly possible? How would you even think that? Like, I thought we were at a level where we were all fun, but clearly we weren't, you know? And this is like a lesson learned, and hopefully lesson learned to everybody, that you can't trust people around you because they will do anything to be freaking shady. And I know that he was trying to get rid of us because he knew that we had called HR on him before that when we first met him, because we weren't happy with him as an employee, not as a personal. Like, if you don't like me, because if you want to fire me because I'm not doing my job, I'm coming in late, whatever the case may be, if you want to get rid of me for those reasons, okay, not just because you don't like me, you know what I mean? So when all that happened, he basically just read me whatever was on paper. He's like, we have everything on camera. We saw you with your phone out, you falling to the ground, everybody laughing. You know, John looked scared. He kind of ran from you a little, well, from Karina a little. And we're basically just going off of what we see on camera, you know? And I'm like, okay, I'm like, but I'm telling you my side. I'm telling you what really happened. I'm like, this guy, at this point, I flipped and I blew out and I was crying and crying. And I was like, how do you not see this? I'm like, in this company, it's just so horrible to think that like something like this can just ruin my whole life in general. Like, this is what I live off of. I'm like, I was just being exaggerated, you know? I'm like, but this is my job. Like, I cared about it. I'm like, imagine I had like a family of 5 that I wanted to take care of, and then this guy comes and just takes everything away from me, all because he just didn't like me or whatever the case may be, when we were all friends at the time. Like, don't befriend your employee. It's like a biggest mistake, because things like this happen, and it's like you need to learn to keep it professional, you know? And but me thinking at that point, I thought we were cool, so I didn't think about it. And I do take full responsibility of the part that I did, but it was the part of him that just kind of was shady as hell, you know, for him to turn our backs on us and try to get us fired, because his goal was to get us fired and me lose my job, you know, and all of us just basically lose our job, because he came in with this cocky attitude like I won, you know. And I was just like, this is not happening, this is not right, you know. And I looked at my DM and I was like, how dare you let this happen? How dare you allow this man to get away with everything? Coming in late, like coming in at 12, leaving at 5, but managers get paid salary. So he was getting paid like he was there for 8 hours a day. Everything that he was doing was wrong. But I'm getting in trouble because I decided to record a little video, you know? So I just felt like the world was against me at that point. I'm like, I'm not going to get away with anything at this point. I already knew that they went in with whatever decision. If I'm going to get fired, I'm going to get fired. So I just kind of looked at the investigator. I'm like, look, I can sit here and pour my life out at you and tell you what I really feel about this company at this point. And let me tell you, by then, my whole perspective on the company in general changed. I used to have very high things to say. And at this point, I was just kind of like, I'm like, it's so sad that in companies, corporations like this, you can be the best employee in the entire planet and that doesn't matter at the end of the day, you know? So my punishment was being transferred. So Karina, after being with 8 years with the company, she got fired and she lost her job. It was probably one of the worst things that could have happened at that point, because, you know, this was her career, and now it was gone over a stupid decision that we decided to make. And I got transferred. I got relocated to a branch a couple of miles down, so it was like another branch from the company. And then Bianca was allowed to stay, which Bianca was like, I'd rather have wanted to get transferred, because life was a living hell for Bianca after that, because he was the biggest douchebag ever. They wouldn't even talk. She had no communication with him whatsoever. And that's worse. I feel like at least I went to a different branch, even though I hated my job still. I went to a different branch and it was a little bit better. And then, you know, Karina unfortunately lost her job over this. And after I got transferred, I was still very unhappy being under that same district, because I felt like everything was just on me. I felt like I was hanging on a thin needle, and any little mistake that I did from this day forward was going to be my job, you know? So I was like, I'm not gonna risk me doing something that looks bad, or whatever the case may be, and my district manager being like, hey girl, like, kick rocks, because I know that at this point after that, they were besties, you know? So I know the district manager was looking at me kind of like, you try to get rid of my guy and let me show you how easy I can get rid of you, kind of thing, you know? So I'm like, this is the thing, when they tell you at your job, if you don't feel right, call HR and let them know how you feel. And that's what we did. We didn't go in there saying names, saying this, or like exploiting everything. We were just like, look, this is what's happening, and we just wanted to get addressed because we need a manager here, and he's not. So that was our part of it. But he went in it just being like, you're not gonna get rid of me, girl, like, bye, get out of here, you know? So we got transferred, and then after that, me and Bianca decided to make the decision to just relocate. We both basically put in our 2-week notices, and we got transferred to the Bay Area, and that's where we became happy again. So we were in the Bay Area for about a year after that. We made the decision to just be roommates, live out there, and, you know, change, and we got a bomb raise. We were out there living it, loving life, and it was probably one of the best decisions that we made. But forever on my record at my job, only managers are allowed to do this, which I felt kind of affected me to try to get any type of promotions or any transfers like that, because in thin little red writing under my profile, it says that I was on final warning for failure to provide a safe environment for employees. Made it look like I was a freaking killer, or that I was going to like just punch somebody in the face if they got me mad, you know? So that stayed with me forever, and it doesn't go away. And thankfully I was able to, you know, get promoted and continue to grow with the company, and I was still with the company for another 3 years after that. And things did get better. I was under better management. But anytime I share this story with people, they're just kind of like, what the hell? I think it's more because you don't know how important working for a company like this is, because, you know, when you're younger, it's just like, oh, it's a job, it's cool, it's good, until things got really, really serious. And, you know, while that whole time that the FBI was involved in being monitored like that, and knowing that anything you say or do or speak about, like, everything could just turn on you quick, and bad things can happen, you know. But I didn't steal or anything like that, so it didn't involve like jail time or anything like that. But when you're that young and you're sitting there thinking of all the worst case scenarios, I seriously felt like my life was about to change in like 2.5 seconds over probably something so stupid, you know, so dumb, so dumb. But that's the end of my story. We all lived happily ever after. I stayed with the company. Well, not Karina, unfortunately. I should have brought her. Should have brought them both, so we all could have just talked about the story together, and we would have been like, dude, but blah, 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 blah. You know, like we talk about it. Even just recently, this past, Karina and Bianca were actually both at my house, and we were talking about it, and I was like, I want to make a story time. So they were the ones that kind of encouraged it. Like, you should just talk about it. It'd be funny. But, you know, Karina has her job all set, but at that point, it was really hard for us to just kind of like adapt to everything. But I got investigated by the FBI. I'm not proud, but I'm a little rebel. I'm not gonna lie. All of you guys thought that I was all innocent, but I'm not. I'm a motherfucking rebel. No, I'm kidding. But that's the end of my story time, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I am slowly starting to like remember all the crazy shit that's happened in my life, and this is why lately I've been doing more story times. But I have them like all planned out. Like maybe like every Wednesday you're gonna have a new story time right now, because I have about 4 other stories that I'm gonna be sharing with you guys. So definitely let me know. Give it a thumbs up. Let me know if you guys love these story times. That way I can keep doing them, because I have so many more that I have already written down. Like, okay, my next story time is gonna be this, and my next story time is gonna be that. Because sometimes some crazy shit things do happen to me, and I'm just like, okay, maybe I should share it with you and let you guys know. This one was a little long. Hopefully you guys are still here and still watching and listening to my story. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until my next video. Love you guys. You don't gotta go to work, 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 work.